Thank you for joining us for another eMarketer Tech Talk, where we host guests from all areas of ad tech, martech, and media. I'm Nancy Tefera-Santos, Senior Vice President, eMarketer at Insider Intelligence. Today, you will learn how to foster collaboration and create a unified vision for your digital transformation. This is your opportunity to learn, and we want it to be educational. So please send in questions during the conversation. I'll get to as many as I can during the Q&A, so keep them coming. Now I want to introduce two special guests. I have with me Jane Musitova, Senior Marketing Automation Manager at Wix, as well as Tara Hackman, Senior Digital Strategy Advisor at Adobe. Jane and Tara, welcome.
Thanks so much, Nancy. Hi, everyone. My name is Tara. So excited to be here with you all. Quick explanation of what it is that I do at Adobe, because that's a very nebulous title, is I have the great pleasure and honor of working with customers every day, talking about their digital strategy and their marketing strategy and strategizing with them, how that works with their tech stack, their marketing tech stack. So it's best job in the world. But I want to ask the same question to Jane, and that is, Jane, can you tell us a little bit about your journey getting into marketing automation management at Wix?
Yeah, of course. So hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Jane. I'm based off in Tel Aviv, Israel. I'm currently working for Wix. And I've been working in marketing for 14 years, spending the last 6 doing marketing, automation, and all kinds of optimizations for various tech companies in Israel. I joined Wix about 4 years ago in the marketing operations role for Wix Sensors, B2B product. And then I moved into more of the product marketing role to learn about the B2C side. And recently I joined Wix Marketing as a Senior Marketing Automation Manager, where I oversee different migration processes and I help various teams build their tech stack, analyze how to make their operational work better and more efficient, and how to create a center of excellence within the company for growth and to help various teams implement it to reach their goals.
Amazing. Sounds like you've worn a lot of hats within Wix and within marketing automation management in general. I would love for you to share with the group here about how does marketing automation work at Wix? What does that ecosystem look like? I know there's a B2B and a B2C side. Can you kind of explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, well, so it's quite complex, and also taking that we grew from a very small startup to a 6,000 plus employee company, where we operate worldwide. We have multiple products and multiple companies within Wix, and some of them are B2B and some of them are B2C. And having said that, there's a difference in funnel. Our traditional Wix customers are self-graders that go through sign up on the website. Then whenever they're ready to upgrade to premium solutions, they do so through subscription model. And tech stack would be very different from the traditional B2B one, where you need to think about the lifecycle management, lead generation, having the proper CRM and pass those leads in time to sales, communicate with them correctly. So that's why we realize that we need to centralize it and understand how we are currently utilizing the tech stack that we currently have. Because honestly speaking, we have about 7 different marketing automation platforms that are being used by different teams currently. But we're working on optimizing that.
Wow. Yeah. So what I heard you say is that you are centralizing your marketing automation, your tech stack. Can you share with us a little bit more about how that process has been at Wix?
Yes. So I'm a Marketo expert and I'm a big fan of that product. So when I joined my first role at Wix, I kind of pushed for bringing Marketo because I thought that could really help us to reach our goals, to build a sufficient lead sales funnel, to work on the attribution, to manage data correctly. And actually, we succeeded within the first 6 months to build a very siloed data and great marketing sales machine, and where we knew what was going on in the funnel. We knew who we were reaching up to, how the conversations were going with sales, where we were standing, that we didn't really miss anything. And now when I joined Wix Marketing in my senior marketing automation role, I'm kind of trying to bring this mindset to help other teams understand that the process could be easier and they could take less time. Because what happens when you start from something small, when like your goal is to build a new amazing product and you want people to learn more about it, and then there's multiple teams doing something similar, a customer might be receiving various communications from the same company but on different products. And I think like that's one of the loopholes that I saw when I was just talking to my current manager about how I could come in and help them operationalize better. And that's just one example. And when you kind of analyze what's happening, when you look at it not as separate products, but it's like one company communicating with users, and you don't look at these users as B2B or B2C, because sometimes that could be a B2B company using enterprise solutions, but they could also use other products that we consider B2C. And I'm going to get into this later, but analyzing all of it as a whole really helps to streamline the processes and minimize work. Also, because we have 6,000 plus employees, and sometimes it would be 10 people working on the tasks that could be automated, and then we could use these resources for other complex tasks that we're not getting to.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that before this centralization, maybe there was some redundancy in the work, or simply that the process to put an email or a campaign out there took a lot longer than it needed to. Is that right?
You'd be surprised. Like when I started in this role about a month ago, my first project was to analyze how we're doing email marketing. And maybe we could bring new channels. Maybe we could start communicating with our users through our in-product messaging. Maybe we should be sending SMS messages. Like, how effective is our current communication? And when I started talking to the email marketing team, I realized that, first of all, wow, like they're brilliant people. They're very technical. They're very knowledgeable. I don't think that I've ever worked with email marketers who are so proficient in coding. And having said that, they're not really utilizing all this knowledge because they have to build 20 different emails per week. And you'll be surprised, but sometimes it takes 1 week to 3 weeks to actually create an email from the day this project is initiated to the day when it's actually sent out. And when I looked at it, I realized that we could probably minimize this time by automating how the data comes in, the amount of platforms that we're using, by bringing maybe more sophisticated product for marketing automation instead of using 5 different platforms, each performing a smaller part of the job. So that's the project that I'm actually currently working on, and I'm very excited about it. I think that soon we're going to make a big change on how we communicate with our users and how we utilize the resources within the company.
Well, so it sounds like this has really helped streamline processes within the company, but I know just from my own experience working with so many customers, working with so many marketers, that bringing in a platform like this and talking about centralization maybe oftentimes creates a lot of fear and resistance to change, right? I mean, you're asking people to give up control of maybe a tool that they really liked or that they're comfortable with. Can you share more with us about what that change management process looked like, how you addressed people's fears, and kind of got everyone on board for such a monumental shift and change?
Wow, Tara, I can emphasize how important that is. And honestly, there's 2 sides of things. Like, first of all, when I was talking to the email marketing team, I realized that a lot of them would be happy to bring a different platform in. They just didn't know that it was possible to automate this process that they're currently doing manually. Like, for instance, we have each email has to be localized to 20 different languages. So it's 20 different local teams working on translating the email, making it sound good for the audience. And then the scheduling part comes in, and that's crazy. Like I've been using Marketo for years, and it's just so easy to schedule, send out an email when you can just say send at 9 a.m. The person's time zone. While in the platform that they're using, they have to create a different campaign for each time zone. So just that takes that's not time. And
so you were able to show them the value add in their day-to-day and how it was going to make it easier for them, and that got them bought in. It sounds like
that was like one part of it. And another part of it is them working in this role for years, and while they have extended their knowledge on coding, in terms of tech stack, I think like with how fast-paced everything is, getting new skills and understanding platforms better, understanding how you can implement them, how you can build things in this platform, something that's really going to help them to move forward, to progress, to grow in their career. And the next step, whether it's going to be within Wix or outside, they could definitely aim higher because they would have more knowledge on different platforms that they haven't used before. So I think that's definitely something to think about when you have this opportunity, and not always you get it. And like taking a course, I've seen that that there's courses on marketing operation that are offered as like post-grad courses, like something that's outside of the degree. Still, I don't think there's marketing operations degree yet. And you have to pay money for it, and like here you get to get trained because most of the marketing automation platforms do provide proper training for the staff that's going to use the platform, and company's going to pay for it. So like you're going to get more knowledge for free, and who says no to that? Plus Wix sample is quite a child because we move internally a lot. So I think for Wix that's a good challenge.
Yeah, it sounds like Wix is. The culture of Wix is a company. It is accustomed to change, and so that helps. That's not the case for many of the folks that I get to talk to. I mean, sometimes it takes so much effort for them, especially if we're working with someone who really wants this change. Getting maybe executives to get on board for this change. And also maybe their peers who are a little bit more risk averse, that change management piece and that getting folks on board and bought in can be really challenging. You just kind of told us the story about how you got a lot of the email marketing folks and the people really executing on board. How did you get your executive sponsor? So in big changes like this, obviously you have to involve an executive sponsor or leader who's going to sign off on this and be really supportive and help push this along. Did you face any challenges with that, or maybe just share with us the story of securing that executive sponsor and getting executive support?
Yeah, of course. So while I was working the product marketing job, I kept bragging about how we could be doing things differently because knowing about my background, a lot of times I would get requests from other teams to help them set up events for their campaigns, to help them with Google Tag Manager, like small projects. And every time I'd look into that tech stack, I would be like, oh my God, why are you doing this? This is so redundant. There's like better ways of working. And every time I get a chance during lunch or coffee break to talk to the senior management, I would keep saying that. And like, you guys need to change something. And then one of the senior managers, my current manager, came up to me and she said that she's not sure how this role is going to evolve, but she does see the opportunity for me to come in and share my expertise and see how we could utilize that to maybe operationalize on it better. And I got this opportunity from the senior manager already, but it was not very explanatory. I kind of like had to figure it out. And so I think what's important for the executives is understanding that business impact, because in the end, like they want to see where the business is going to come in, where the money is coming in. So what I did, I took it as a project manager and I analyzed what's happening, like where are we now, how much money we're spending on each of the platforms, how many hours each resource is spending on working in those platforms. And, like we could probably estimate how much money we're losing while we're not being efficient. And then there's plenty of case studies where you can see the industry standards, the performance metrics, and ROI estimations. So if you could put that into the numbers and present it to your senior manager, that's something that's going to help to prove your case. Because in the end, if a marketer comes in and says, like, no matter how much money you're going to give me, I'm going to use it for the campaigns, they're not going to like it. But if you come and say, okay, like currently we're wasting maybe $1 million on platforms that are not bringing us enough efficiency, that we're not really seeing ROI on our communication, we don't know out of all the emails we're sending, how many people are actually reading them, how many people are interested in this content, how many people are growing their business because we're helping them with the knowledge that we're providing, how many have the intent to actually use premium features and therefore get business for the company. So once you bring those numbers in, that really gives a clear picture of where we could improve. And then taking the budget limitation, you need to be very thorough in your research what other platforms could help resolve that, and what kind of an improvement you could be looking at when bringing it. So that's something that I've been using in the past and something that has always worked. And I think that generally speaking, if you have a good plan and real numbers, that will get you somewhere.
Yeah, that's amazing, and job well done. It's a huge lift, huge project. That sounds like it had tremendous success, which actually segues nicely into one of the questions I have for you, which is, it sounds like this centralization of technology has had a real benefit on internal alignment, and just kind of tech efficiencies and having a lot of ROI in terms of time resources. Can you tell me a little bit about how this change has also impacted the customer's experience with your brand? I know you're a B2B side and a B2C side, so I don't know if there's maybe a differentiation there you want to speak to, but would love to hear how you think that this has impacted the customer and their interactions with your brand at Wix.
So I think that one thing is communications being more streamlined and customer not getting redundant information or being met at the time and place where they're looking for information. Let's say they create a website on Wix, but now they want to start selling on Wix and they're looking for information. How do I build an e-commerce on Wix? And realizing those intents and sending them data on like the right information, what they're looking for, the right content. I think that's something that really helped us. And in general, personalization, understanding who are our buyers on B2B side and B2C side, what are the problems that they're looking to resolve by using our product, what are their concerns, and utilizing our product features. That's something that really helped us streamline. I think that automation is something that really helps us to better communicate with our users.
So that's wonderful. I'm curious, can you give us a little bit of like a before and an after? So what was the experience like for your customers before you did this implementation? And then how do you think it's changed post?
On the B2C side, we have the project that's ongoing currently, but on the B2B side, I could share something that we built for Wix Answers, because we were a startup when we just started marketing it to users, and we were not sure who our ideal customer profile, the ICPs are. And like we thought we knew it, and we kept targeting them on different LinkedIn campaigns and other ad tech platforms. And we had those tons of MQLs coming to Salesforce, coming to our sales team, and they just didn't have the bandwidth to talk with everyone, schedule demos. And practically, we were spending a lot of money on all these campaigns that we're not getting any outcome. We're not getting any deals closed out of this. And we were like, oh, but we have this amazing product and they should be excited about it, just like we are, but it's just not going anywhere. And then we kind of sat down and said, okay, how do we know that this is the right people who are going to make a decision about buying the product? How do we know that this is when they're ready to buy? And that's when we brought additional tax tag, and we created nurture campaigns where they would be based solely on the user's intent and where they are, what kind of information they looked up, where their business is right now. Are they considering a different platform? Did they just sign a contract with a competitor? Are they just shopping around? And also on how they interact with the brand. So it places them into this like top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. And they would start getting different nurture emails. We would occasionally invite them to the events that were relevant for them, for the specific industries, for the specific tasks that they were looking to tackle. And while we were still spending quite a lot of money on bringing all those leads, the siloed approach really helped us to close 20% of deals for all of the opportunities that we opened, which was amazing that time. And it's not the exact approach that we could use for our B2C communication, but what I'm working on now is to also build it around the user and not build it around the products. So that the same person doesn't get different communications in various products, but kind of gets information on all of them together if they just sign up and they purchased a few products, or if they just contacted the customer support about a specific problem, and we want to make sure that not only the case was resolved, but we could provide them with additional information. So by helping our users, we're growing our business. And if we can improve our communications, if we could improve where we meet our users, I think that both us and our users could be happy and more successful.
Amazing. That's incredible. And ultimately, it sounds like what you're doing is you're able to personalize the customer experience. You are getting, from what I'm hearing, you're getting better intel about your customer. You understand more about them, and therefore you're able to deliver them the right message, the right content, when they need it and where they need it, which is what we're supposed to do as marketers, right? That's wonderful. I want to ask you, so Wix is this global company. I know there's a lot of localization that has to happen, but you're also trying to centralize everything. Talk to me about, and you mentioned this very early on in our chat, talk to me about this global center of excellence. What does that look like operationally? How did you set that up? Talk to me a little bit about how that works.
So historically, it's been working the following way. At Wix, we have guilds. We're famous for that. It's a structure where each function has its own guild. There's an ops guild, there's designer guild, there's dev guild, UX, and so on and so forth. And each guild has a specific amount of people that are working within the guild, but also outside the guild, where there's a dedicated ops for each team. And the goal of the ops is to make sure that whatever request comes in from that team, that is being handled on time, that if they request a specific tag, then they can come back with an answer from procurement, whether they actually need to order or to buy a new tax tag, or whether within the company we have purchased something that could suit their needs. And that's something that has been working for us quite well, but it was still not perfect. And that's when we decided we need to centralize it a bit differently. And I joined the marketing team to help with that. So I started with just gathering information on all of the texts that we currently have from procurement, and talking to different teams and understanding what are the platforms that they're using, if they're reaching their goals, if there's something that they want to optimize, and consulting them on how we could maybe think of better ways on reaching those goals with different tech stack that we have, or maybe bringing another platform that could be more optimal for their needs. And that's the main approach. Talk to me in a few months and I'll tell you how it goes.
So to clarify, it sounds like what you've done is you have kind of a central, repository isn't the right word, but a central place or owner or group of ownership for the technology that exists within Wix. And then other teams are able to tap into that technology as needed, as opposed to these separate teams have total authority to go out and buy whatever technology they want. Is that correct?
So we have procurement team, and they're responsible for bringing in new platforms. And we also have IT, and like whenever you need a new platform, you can open a Jira ticket and request a license. And then there are people who are responsible for each of those. So each platform has a person who would approve those requests or not approve. So like a designer, someone from the design guild who's responsible for the tech stack for designers, they would go in and say like, okay, are you a designer? Yes. Okay, give license. Oh, you're not a designer. Why do you need it? And then you need to get your manager's approval. So it's there's a lot of bureaucracy around it. And it's just to improve the process on not having to buy additional licenses when we don't need them, or when someone doesn't really know why they need this platform, but it's good to have. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. A center of excellence is more of understanding how the processes work for each of the teams, for each of the products, and are we using the tech that we have to the best of the possibilities, or maybe we could optimize it. So that's where we stand right now. We're analyzing those processes within the business and centralizing it so that we can see how each team is operating, and whether they have the best ROI, or if we need to improve something.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, I think we have just a few more minutes until Q&A, but I want to kind of synthesize everything that we've talked about, because we've touched upon lots of elements of, running an evaluation, collaborating, building that global COA, centralizing. If there are folks on this call that are in the middle of or are planning on undergoing a huge transformation like this or an evaluation like this, what are the key must-haves, suggestions that you have for folks who are about to step into this giant project that you just went through?
Research. Like do a very, very thorough research of how the things are right now. Map everything, all the communications. You have 1,000 triggered emails going out. Okay, map them. Understand what is happening and where the loopholes are, where things falling through, and you need to improve on those. And once you have a good understanding of where things are, you can start planning the tactics, or like how you're going to tackle this. What is the tactic that's going to help you work around those? Understand who are the people involved, like understanding who are the real stakeholders for this kind of projects is important. And sometimes it's not just the people using the platforms and the executives, but it could be analysts, because they're responsible for fetching the data, running the queries, getting the right events in. It could be dev. It could be people that will be responsible for implementing the platform. And then you need to understand how, what kind of the implementation could work and could not. And I actually have an example when like we were going to implement a new platform for the forums, and we had very, very tight deadline because we had to do it prior to the launch of the new Wix product. And during the call, when we were going over the implementation, I realized that I don't think that anyone from the security team was involved in it, and it's really, really important for them to be involved. So before you get ready to act, make sure that all the right people are sitting at the table, because without all the important stakeholders being aware of what's happening, bringing their insights, you might bring a platform that you won't be able to implement. You might bring a platform that's not sufficient for everyone's needs. And in the end, you need to understand that the migration times can take from a few months to a year in some companies. And you need to have a backup plan on like how you're going to act while the new platform is being implemented. You need to understand how can you migrate the data to this new platform. So all the technicalities are important. So plan, use your project management skills, and best of luck.
I love it. Thank you.
Sure.
Nancy, how are we doing on time? Is it time for Q&A?
We can certainly move over to the Q&A right now. We have some questions that have come in from the audience, but I have enjoyed so much your conversation, and I have to say, Jane, I am completely stuck on the fact that you do 20 localizations, 20 translations. Obviously, you did a lot of testing to figure out that this was all needed. Just curious if you could even share any kind of metrics as far as like X engagement that you've seen from a localization email versus a non-localization. And I'm curious to learn if you also translate your landing pages and the deliverable. What can you tell us there for best practices?
Of course. So first of all, it's not me doing all of that. We have an amazing localization team where we actually bring native speakers to go over all the content and see if something is even translatable. So I got to work a lot with that team when I was managing the homepage and other key pages. We ran A/B tests and MAB tests on every small change that we were making. Every change, even if we're adding a comma in the headline, we're going to A/B test it. So that's what we do for the emails as well. The way that the emails are created is usually the PMM submits a request, specifying what type of email they're creating, who's the audience, what is the language you want to use, what's the tone of voice they want to use. And then once it's created in English, we pass it to local teams, and they go over the content. They think if they need to tweak it a little bit, if this is the correct way of saying it in another language. So we did not automate it. I'm actually debating whether we should, because it's been really important for us to speak to the users on the eye level and making sure that we're clear that we're not robots, that we speak the same language with them.
Yeah. I admire that so much. I once managed a worldwide marketing team, and we were only able to maybe 4 languages. It's so hard, and to make sure that you have quality as well and get things out timely. So I really admired that. Now to the live questions. So one of the questions that we have are, who are the main stakeholders that should be involved in the evaluation process?
So whenever you're bringing a tech stack in, I would say bringing your BI analysts, people that are responsible for the data, bringing your dev teams, those who are actually going to be implementing it, bringing your legal, they will have tons of questions. Security teams, you might call them differently, and those who are responsible for security of the platforms that you're bringing to understand how the data is going to be passed. Who I was working with the cloud services, so it's important to understand how this product is being hosted, and bringing people that are going to use this platform is important. Maybe not at the first stage, but at the demo for sure. And of course, the decision maker, whoever it's going to be, probably senior manager. And in my practice, it's best to schedule initial intro calls, just maybe having like one more person actually using the platform and yourself on the call, because you don't want to involve the bigger teams than the intro calls, because it's probably going to be mainly you explaining where you are and what are your needs. And towards the demos, that's when you want to have all these people at the table, listening, taking notes, and asking the right questions, because that's something that's going to help you move forward. Yeah.
And I would love to add to that too. I think if you are a B2B company or you're evaluating marketing automation for B2B, I would say it's pretty critical to involve sales leadership in that as well in some capacity. And whoever is running your CRM as well, because that CRM marketing automation integration is pretty critical. And depending on the sophistication of your marketing and sales process already, the sales and marketing stages may change, especially if you're going to start doing content scoring or lead scoring, you're going to want sales's support and buy-in on that too. You want that to be a collaborative process. Can't tell you how many sales and marketing teams are, in a tense collaborative situation because they didn't get synced from the start when that evaluation started. So that's just something else that I want to add. When I see sales being involved in that evaluation process early, I see the implementation going a lot more smoothly than bringing them after and kind of forcing this new process on them that they didn't have any part or say in.
Yeah, great point. Take out the tension from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And you both talked about the internal organization. Are you in favor of bringing external consultants to implement your tech stack?
I'd say that it really depends on the situation. If you have an expert on your team, then go ahead, implement it yourself. If yours or your teammates' skills are lacking in something that's critical for the implementation, I would say totally, because you're going to be saving time, you're going to be saving money for the business while you're working on the other tasks, because bringing in new software, it does take time, and you need to have certain knowledge on how to do it correctly, how to make sure you're covering for all of the scenarios, and how you're building the process that will enable you to grow and scale. So if you don't have someone on the team, that definitely do so. But in my experience, it's great to also educate your team, because if you're going to be using the platform, and if you do need to bring a consultant in the first stage, pay that consultant to teach your team or get them a course. Make sure that at the time when they finish the initial project, you can hand it over to your team members, and they're confident and then can run it and be great. Yep.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement there. I'm a big fan of implementation partners for the purpose of yes, educating your team and taking some of the stress off of your internal team on the implementation side. Of course, on the management side, I'm a huge proponent of managing your own stack internally, as opposed to managed services, although that exists too and is always an option. But I think, and Jane hit this point, being able to empower your team with the skills to manage technology like this is such a career boost for them that I think it's a missed opportunity not to give them the opportunity to manage that technology on their own. But on the implementation front, I think having a partner is really beneficial to take that pressure off. And then your team can focus on just education and getting ramped, as opposed to how are we going to get everything integrated and plugged in. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. And speaking further about the implementation, the person that's focusing on it, we have a question. What should the tech stack implementer focus on? What should be their main focus?
Whatever you're trying to solve for, really. If you see that there's a specific goal that you're not reaching with the current structure, with the current technology you're using, then focus on that, and don't try to fix everything at once. Concentrate on one goal. Let's say you want to reduce the time it takes to create an email or send out the email, or you want to increase the email performance for a specific region, or that you're seeing a lot of spam reporting, or you want to increase deliverability. And modern technologies usually offer you immense amount of tools and functionalities, and sometimes you want to dive in, you want to purchase all of it, you want to implement all of it, but implementation takes time. And also for your management buy-in, getting a pilot project that is going to resolve for one issue, but is going to prove to be great, is something that's going to help you to get that executive buy-in for other tools that you will need in the future. And also, it will just save time for your team, because starting huge merges, huge implementations, that's a lot of work for everyone. And I think that's also another big concern about bringing new tech stack, is people are going to be like, wait, I'm only working 45 hours a week, like what do you expect of me? So yeah, start small.
Yeah. Oh, Jane, that is so good. I see implementations that don't go well, or folks that aren't leveraging the technology in the most optimal way. I think oftentimes it's because they didn't understand or didn't align to their own use cases from the start. And when I say use cases, it's to Jane's point, is what are your objectives? What are you trying to accomplish with this technology? And I do workshops like this with customers all the time, where let's first create a mission statement for why are we doing this transformation in the first place? Why are we doing this massive project? What is our kind of true north statement? And then from there, what are the maybe top three, maybe 1 to 3 objectives or use cases that we are trying to accomplish with this tool? To Jane's point, is it, if you're a retailer or e-commerce, is it you're trying to do win back campaigns? You've got all these leads that have done one purchase, but have never come back again. So you're trying to win back loyal customers. Is it you're trying to increase your top funnel? You have loyal customers, but you don't have many new ones coming. What are your key objectives? What are you trying to accomplish? And what are the KPIs that are going to be attached to it to measure your success? If you just adopt a huge platform that can do anything and everything you want it to, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to drown in the complexity. So if you can identify those top 1 to 3 and really align to that and push to accomplish those 1 to 3, you're going to start seeing success, and you're going to start seeing ROI towards your KPIs.
Great, thank you. And we did have a question about identifying the need for a tech stack and justifying, but I think you just both kind of hit on that one. So I'm going to jump to the next question, which is, how do you think the marketing ops role as a career path will evolve?
So I think that the marketing ops role has been becoming more and more technical. And with all the third-party tools becoming less relevant, we have to think about getting the first-hand data from the users, and understanding how we communicate better with those users, how we make sure that we're very transparent with them, that our communication is very eye to eye, like I said. And also with the new privacy laws coming in, I think that you need to get some legal kind of education and really understand, like, what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong. And Wix, we actually discontinued using some of the major platforms because our users were concerned about their privacy data. And we wanted to ensure them that we will do anything to make sure that data is protected. So I think those are the two areas where we will all need to familiarize ourselves in. And with the AI coming in, I think it's really handy. And whatever mundane tasks you can allocate to ChatGPT or other platforms, go ahead and do so, as long as it doesn't involve any sensitive data. And yeah, get your hands on SQL. That comes really handy. Python. I recently attended a workshop by Luker, and I texted my analyst friend. I was like, look, I know you took this 2-year course, but can you give me one session, a few questions? So the more technical knowledge you have, the better are your chances on growing in this career, on having adequate knowledge of the systems, analyzing which tools provide you better value, and being more useful for the company.
And I think just to add to that, staying on top of add-ons on the product, staying really abreast on updates to the product, getting involved in user groups, maybe locally, just staying really on top of the product, understanding, especially in the case of Marketo, that it's always evolving. There are always new integrations happening with it, always new partners, to integrate with it. So just staying ahead of the curve on that, because different add-ons and things can add a huge amount of value for a pretty low cost, and to take advantage of those things, I think is to your benefit professionally. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point of staying on top of the product, I just want the audience to know that within the interface, we have 2 links, I believe, one to take a tour of your Adobe Marketing Engage, and also there's a link to a demo in there. So to refresh yourself, make sure you check those out. But we have time for one last question. So I'm going to ask you both, what are your thoughts? Can you just share with the audience? Say we have a newer marketing ops team who's ready to implement their first marketing automation. What's your advice to them?
Plan. I would say plan ahead and try to think what are your goals right now, how they might change in a month and 6 months, in a year, because that will help you to understand what you need to bring in, like what you need to build within the new stack. What are the main integrations that you will require? If it's a B2B, then you probably want to integrate it with your CRM. You need to familiarize yourself with what CRM you're currently using. Understand from sales, talk with sales, understand how they're currently working, what their goals are, how you could make their life easier. Understand how you're going to keep the data clean. How are you going to create your campaigns within that marketing automation platform, so that when your team grows from 1 person, if it's 1 person, to 20, how you're going to keep it clean, how you're going to do the data maintenance, what are the flows that you need to build, what is the lifecycle marketing going to look like, what is the marketing and sales funnel going to look like, how you're going to attribute data. So really dive in, talk to other people, talk to your community, fellow marketers, talk to the product itself. They usually give a lot of information. I know that Adobe has been very helpful in that. Even before I became a Marketo champion, I could always get answers in the forums. I could talk to fellow Marketo users and reach out to our account manager. So you use all these resources, and I'm sure you'll succeed.
And I think to add to that, and we've touched on this too, but I just want to drive the point home, is that avoid shiny object syndrome when you're getting started. This question tells me that this is maybe a company that hasn't had marketing automation before, so you're probably doing a lot of educating as well internally. So in that case, and I have lived this at several companies, I played this exact role. Just get so clear on what you're trying to accomplish and avoid everything else that is because it's just a distraction. If this is the first time you're implementing marketing automation, if you don't just get tunnel vision about your goal, it is so easy to scope creep and to chase this nice shiny object. Oh, let's try this thing. You have to get that foundation in place. You have to get your lead stages nailed down with sales. If you're B2B, you have to understand your customer journey and build a process for it first and foremost. Once you have that foundation built, then you can sort of test and try new shiny things. But until that foundation is really strong, and you've made sure that your data is clean and that your stages are tight and you've got alignment with the right stakeholders, then you can start trying new wild things. But yeah, I just can't emphasize enough the importance of being really clear on what your goals are and just being headstrong about going after them and avoiding anything else.
Fantastic advice. Jane and Tara, thank you so much. And as a Marketo user myself, I definitely enjoyed this conversation. I learned a lot. I know our audience did. Thank you to our audience for all the questions that came in. Before we wrap up, let me take a moment and tell everybody what's happening across eMarketer's media channels. You can register for more live analyst and tech talk webinars at emarketer.com/webinars. On the audio side of the house, don't forget Behind the Numbers, our daily podcast, and check out our newsletters. Also, keep an eye on your email. We will use a Marketo email to go ahead and send out a link to today's recording, as well as some more information with some deliverables in there. So check that out. Again, thank you all for your time. Thank you, Jane and Tara, the entire team at Adobe, as well as our Studio II team for getting us live today. Thank you all, and we'll see you on our next Tech Talk. Bye-bye.